What is up, guys? It is your boy Winster, and I am back at it again with another video. Today we are doing another market watch video. I genuinely enjoy making these videos, and hopefully you're enjoying them too. Hopefully you're enjoying them enough where you guys can make sure to hit that subscribe button and be sure to turn on the notification bell while you're already there. We're so close to hitting 1,100 subscribers. Thank you everyone for your support. If you guys want to see more of my content, my Twitch, where I actually record this is live, my Twitter, Discord, TikTok, everything is going to be in the description. So be sure to check that out. Join up, be part of the community. But I'm really excited to talk about where the market is at right now. But let's get right into it, guys, and talk about it. So the first thing I wanted to talk to you guys about was Rarity Collection. When this first dropped, it was insane. Prices were all over the place. People were doing buyouts for Ash, double the price of what they actually landed. But I think now that we're a couple weeks in, I think we're about a month in since the release, I think things finally started to die down. And a good highlight of that is Ash Blossom, or even the box, right? I think a lot of locals, or at least mine, we're selling the box for 100 a piece. Now I get it, there's so much value in this, not just right now but in the long run, where Ash Blossom QCR, Infinite Impermanence QCR are just going to be worth the investment. Now, if you're holding off to buy this set, I think now is the best time to do so, or invest in singles, right? I just put the high to low. The box is hitting about, 95 after tax. And I get it, everyone wants to make their money, but there's so much value. You have Ash Blossom QCR, you have Infinite Impermanence, Triple Talons, Effect Veiler, Pot of Prosperity, all great, phenomenal staples, and they all get that QCR finish. If you guys were interested in buying any of this, I definitely would recommend going for it now, because like on release, look, Effect Veiler was $60. Let's not even begin to talk about where Ash Blossom was at on release. This thing was 300, 400 plus. I talked about it on my previous market watch video, so I don't want to talk about it too much, but I do think that prices did start to fall a lot. And if you're thinking about buying singles, now is the time to do so, so you could get that good investment on a high rarity card, on a staple. And on top of that, if worse comes to worse, you could sell it in the future. When it comes to like super rares, because everything comes in every single rarity in this set, I think some of the ones that if you've been holding on to, I would highly recommend letting go. Like Pot of Prosperity would definitely be one of them. The super rare for this is about like $5-6. Now that's not too much, but I do think the hype is still a little bit there, and that's why people are holding on to it. I don't think that price is going to hold, because this is going to definitely get reprinted again. If you have a lot of super rare Pot of Prosperity or any low rarity of the card, let them go. What I wanted to talk to you guys about next was Valiant Smashers, but more specifically Centurion. I do think Centurion is a very consistent archetype, newly released, it's hype, it's hot, a lot of people want to test it out, and since it's a relatively small engine, it's splashable in a lot of decks, or it's splashable with a lot of engines. On top of that, it's the end of November. We should be getting a ban list in about 1 to 2 months, and the current decks that are dominating the format, Pearly, Unchained, Rescue Ace, all those decks are potentially going to get hit on the chopping block. So having a deck ready and a really consistent deck is definitely worth the investment. Now, I'm not saying you have to invest in it right now, but I would say that this is definitely worth it. A lot of these cards could fall in price, and it does suck that you have to pay $35 for an Ultra, $20 for an Ultra, but I definitely think that this is going to be worth the investment in the long run, and definitely worth picking up. So that brings me to my next point, talking about Unchained, talking about Pearly, talking about Rescue Ace. Since we should be getting a ban list sometime very soon, where some of these top contending decks for the best deck in the format are up for the chopping block, I definitely think if you have these high rarity cards for any of these archetypes, Collector's Rare, QCR, Collector's Rare for Rescue Ace, I would highly recommend maybe offloading some of those higher rarity cards and get your money worth right now. That way you can invest into other decks or other cards that you've been trying to get. Again, I don't think that in the next ban list that there's no way that at least these decks are not regulated or checked in some kind of way from Konami. I would be really, really shocked. So save yourself the time, save yourself the money, gain that money back that you already invested into. Now let's get a little bit more specific on specific cards. The first card I wanted to talk about is Fire Formation Tenki. Now there is a common printing of this card. There's a secret printing. There's so many printings of it. So there are cheaper alternatives, but I wanted to specifically talk about the collector's rare. The collector's rare just a couple days ago was sitting about 25 to 30 bucks. Not a bad deal, but since today, November 27th, they actually just released the structure deck and what the deck is actually going to have, and the deck releases in about 2 weeks. Fire Formation Tenki is going to be a very popular option, a very helpful option if you're planning to play that new archetype, and I would definitely recommend investing in this because if depending on how that deck actually does, I do think that this deck or this card is going to skyrocket. The sellers already know there's only one page, right? There's not one person selling it under 50 bucks. So if you're trying to invest, I would invest sooner rather than later. If you have the money and you got it like that, you could spend 30 more bucks and you could get the actual ultra rare, which is right now going for about 80 bucks light play. Right now, this price of the card has just dwindled, right? It hasn't really jumped. But again, if you got it like that, you can spend a few more bucks and you could get the ultimate rare of this card, which isn't bad. Now, the next card I wanted to talk about was the Zora. This is a phenomenal monster. What it does is when it's synchro summon, you could equip any Magistus monster, Fusion, Synchro, Exceed, or Link to this monster, and your opponent cannot use monsters of that same type. Fusion, Exceeds, Link, or Synchro. Now, this is a great floodgate. I would definitely recommend picking these up, especially when the card is only about $1 right now. You could pick a secret rare original print first ed for less than $1. I picked this up as bulk. And already it is starting to show some interest of players, especially how strong the floodgate could potentially be. Now, is it going to jump out for maybe a $20, $30 card? Depending on how strong Centurion is, perhaps. But right now is a perfect time to invest if you are planning to play that deck, considering how easy that deck can cheat this monster out. So the next card I wanted to talk about was Crimson Dragon from Duelist Nexus. There's only 2 printings of this card, QCR and the secret rare printing of it. Just about a month ago, the card was going for like 12 bucks. But because of how promising Centurion is looking to be, it is skyrocketing to 20 bucks. Now, that's a $5 difference. There's a lot of factors to take in, right? There's only one printing of this card, and there is not going to be another printing of this card for the foreseeable future. I would say maybe a year and a half. But on top of that, this can be used in so many decks. Adventure Synchron's using it. Mandium is using it. Any synchro based deck can cheat this card out. And then this allows you to go into cheap cards like Calamity and just lock your opponent out. There's so many targets for this to do. But I would definitely recommend if you're planning to use any synchro based deck to invest in this card sooner rather than later. I think it is crazy that an anime great generic level 12 synchro was going less than 15 bucks. Like, that's just crazy to me. I would guess that this card would go for like $30 to $40. There's just so much behind it. So the next card I wanted to talk to you guys about was Galaxy Eyes Photon Lord. Now, hear me out here, okay? I personally would not invest in this card right now. The reason that I'm bringing it up is because it is really, really good with the Horus engine, because they just spam level 8 monsters out like crazy, and you can easily go into this because this is generic and this is a monster negate. Any deck that could use the Horus engine could go into this monster. Now, should you invest in it right now? At the moment, the card is going for $78 to $84. Right? Now, do you want to invest in this card when it already has a confirmed reprint coming out in the future? Those are the types of questions that you need to ask yourself. If you feel like your deck or you're preparing, right, and you need this card in the arsenal, I would highly invest. Maybe find someone in a local market and invest in there, but I don't think this card warrants the $80 price tag that it has. The only reason that this card has that price tag is because there's only one printing of it. I think it's crazy that it hasn't fell down in price because it already has a confirmation of a reprint. But if you go back a year, right, this card December around the same time as now was going for like $40. So it's never been cheaper than $40, right? Fast forward to today, the card doesn't skyrocket in price, but it definitely goes up, right? Almost doubles in price. So again, I understand why it has the price point. Do I agree with it? No. I think that this card should be like maybe a $50 card, maybe that, maybe $50 to $60 card. I don't think that it should have this price point, but because there's so much around it, it being generic, it being used in Centurion, which is a very promising deck, so easily any deck that could use level 8 monsters could go into this. I could see why there's so much hype about it. The next card I wanted to talk about was Wanted, the Seeker of Sinful Spoils. This card, and of course the monster that goes with this engine, is going to be used in the new Fire King structure deck. So if you guys are planning to use that, I would definitely invest in this. This is a really strong engine overall. It's so good, but the one problem with it just has a really expensive price tag, right? Going about when it first got released, a month ago, right? It's going for like $60 to $80, right? It settled down a bit, down to 50, and because of how good it is in other decks, going up in price. And I could definitely see this card staying around that price, especially how good it is and how small the engine is and how splashable the engine is. Especially on top of that, now that that Fire King structure deck that was announced today is going to be using it, I definitely would recommend picking up this engine if you're planning to play those. It's not a necessity, but I would think that it's going to help you out, especially if you're trying to play in any kind of competitive format with the Fire King structure deck. And again, it's a good engine. It's future proof. It's good. It's hype. I would definitely invest in this, even though it's a little bit more on the pricier side. The last thing I wanted to talk to you guys about is the Horus cards, specifically the engine. When this card Imseti got released, guys, this is the greatest feeling. This is why I tell you, listen to your gut. Remember, I know that you guys look around, maybe get some other opinions when you guys are deciding to invest, but I remember when I was talking when this card first came out, right? I'm like, well, like I want to get it. It looks good. It's really consistent, and I bought it for 30 a piece. And at that point, I was like, oh my god, like this archetype is so expensive, right? Like the sarcophaguses are going for like 10, I think, or like 15. I'm like, well, you know what? Fuck it. It's a really good engine. I'm gonna go ahead and pull the trigger. I bought my 3 Imseti for 30. Got my 2 Sarks. Or no, I got 1 Sark and then pulled the QCR Sark. So I'm like, okay, I really want to play it. And then as time progressed, right, like the value of the cards just continued to be good, right? It's good in D-Link, it's good in tier limits, it's good in branded, it's good in everything, especially because all you have to do is just mill everything and you get free level 8s, right? You go into amazing level 8 plays, right? You got the Photon Lord, the Hope Harbinger, you go into the zombie, I always forget the zombie vampire, the vampire zombie. I always forget that card's name, right? Which order it is. But you go into so many great cards. And on top of that, it's a small, splashable engine you could just throw into everything. 3 Imseti, if you want to, then you can play the 1 Happy. And if you want to play the other ones, you could play one of those 2 so you could have extra bodies. 2 Sark, that's the engine. And that's what makes it really, really good. This card is going to be used in a lot of cards moving forward, and I definitely think it is worth the investment. Okay, so that is going to bring us to the end, guys. Again, this market watch videos are just my personal opinion, some of my recommendations. Again, you don't have to take my opinion as all, end all be all, but again, I'm here to help you guys, save some money, help you guys invest properly, and at least give you my opinion on the current market. especially where there's always a lot of fluctuation, a lot of change. Someone tops, and a specific card just skyrockets in price, and everyone all of a sudden knows the value of that specific card. And thank you again for all the support. We're so close to hitting 1,100 subscribers. I definitely want to give my thanks to you guys, but I hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Be sure there's going to be a lot of content coming soon. This is going to be the end of the video. I'll check you guys out later. Peace out, guys.